I woke up to the refinery glow, feeling my hands still running low. Blueprints stacked on the bench again, every new fix just leads to 10. Walls go up and the hunger grows, another upgrade, another load. I built this place with my own two hands, now it keeps asking me to stand. I'm tired, but I'm still here, counting every scrap I clear. If I keep my head on straight, it's worth it in the end. Gather the fuel at the edge of town, drag it back when the sun goes down. Research lines on a cracked up screen, chasing what this whole thing means. I upgrade one, then I need two more. That's the kind of life I can't ignore. It's frustrating, yeah, I won't pretend, but I'm not leaving this halfway built. I'm tired, but I'm still here, counting every scrap I clear. If I keep my head on straight, maybe this will turn to fate. Worth it in the end, worth it in the end. I keep on building, I keep on bending. Worth it in the end, worth it in the end. Every hard day, every slow spend, I tell myself it's worth it in the end. Someday I'll stand at the gate and see what all this grind creates. Every footstep, every small repair will look like a map when I get there. Worth it in the end. Ooh. Worth it in the end. I keep on building, I keep on bending. Worth it in the end, worth it in the end. I've come too far to just give in, so I keep on going, I keep believing. Down, eyes up, we came to play. One last hit, then we all say, close by close, we hold our line. Steel in the breath and fire in the mind. No empty throne, no lone wolf run. Every hard round brings us as one. Hear that shout, it rolls through the floor. One more clash, then we want more. Shoulder to shoulder, we rise in the glow. Tightest fight makes the whole room grow. Stand as one, stand as one. Close battle, still we come. Stand as one, stand as one. We fight hard, then we build this home. Stand as one, stand as one. Every hand keeps lifting someone. Stand as one, stand as one. We play for the league, we play for the bond. Quick right turn, a near miss spark. One clean break, then back to the dark. Tiny margins, big brave hearts. One shared win from a dozen starts. New names, old friends, same battle cry. We learn your moves and we cheer you by. When the dust sets, we stay in the ring. Win or lose, we still fear that shout. It rolls through the floor. One more clash, then we want more. Shoulder to shoulder, we rise in the glow. Tightest fight makes the whole room grow. Stand as From first sparks to final calls, we trade the scars, but we don't fall. Your name, my name, one steady flame. Across this field, we're more than a game. Stand as one, stand as one, stand as close battle, still we come. Stand as one,
All right, hello and welcome everybody to This Week in Illuvium. We're going to be getting started here in just a second with all of the news surrounding Illuvium and its universe of games. We have a handful of things to talk about, especially around the arena fronts, but it's not just going to be all arena today, just going as usual all across the universe here. Good to see everybody in here nice and early as well. Jacob Odek, good to see ya. Same thing here with Kevin Hawthorne. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day so far. I know personally I'm feeling pretty good. Got to go fishing today, and for once I actually caught something, so I'm actually pretty happy about that. Just a little, nothing too special, just a little bass, but I'm happy nonetheless. We're going to start things off with our first topic here for today. I'm not going to waste any time, because we've got a lot to talk about. So first and foremost, I had put in the title that Survival was kind of teased here. So is there the chance that Survival is returning, and with potentially a playtest coming sometime soon here? This was just dropped in the Discord, I believe it was last night, but basically, if we recall what Kieran had said, maybe it was during Town Hall week, so it was a little bit of a ways away, and it kind of gets brought up every once in a while in discussions on X, and sometimes in the Discord too. But Survival, or the idea of Survival, was handed off to another developer within the community, kind of just help them with the assets, and they were going to essentially put this together so that it can be thrown onto Steam. And we haven't gotten much of an update for it. It was still, of course, early development at that point. But someone comes into the Discord and drops this and starts saying that a playtest for this game is right around the corner, essentially. And they're starting to take applications for it, it does seem. So, of course, this is what I'm talking about that got dropped into the Discord. And for those that may not have joined us early enough to have gotten a chance to experience Survival, excuse me, we've gotten the chance to experience Survival, but it was basically a PvE style game under Arena. Excuse me, feeling a little bit today, apparently. Excuse me. Whew. Yeah, it's basically a PvE experience around Illuvium Arena, where it's never up against an actual player, but more so just computers. You go after round after round, floor after floor. And yep, all good. Wife checking up on me, don't mind me, sorry about that. But the main idea is that every single round, every single floor, it would get harder and harder. I'm having a hard time today, sorry, bear with me. Sorry. Oh. But it was basically the way that we kind of learned how to play Illuvium through this player versus environment style, going floor after floor. Floors would get harder as we would go along. And then it kind of disappeared a little bit. Miss the old, first off, Kirito, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day as well. Miss the old Survival, would have been so good to have with ownership. Absolutely. We did lose Survival around the same time that we lost Ascendant, if I recall correctly, back in the day there. And I remember there used to be like a whole board on a whole leaderboard, even attached to Survival. And again, that was a big reason and way how a lot of us learned the game. Of course, that is now gone, but it has been sent to essentially another developer within the community to actually take it and put it onto Steam. And that they have been able to do so, as it would seem. We're right around the corner, it looks like, from this thing being essentially playable, as we see in this picture here, all the alluvials coming on through. And a bit of a different layout than what we would normally see, but you can kind of see in the top right corner, Floor 1, Act 1, so I believe it's meant to be behaving very similarly. On the left-hand side, kind of similar to what we would see with Arena, where there's the synergies. The only thing to my little nitpick is that it says Arcanist instead of Arcanite, but it is what it is. And then which of these alluvials would actually be Arcanite would be a question, because I don't see one that would actually fit that description based off of what we see on the field. So, of course, there's no say that they would do a one-to-one comparison with the Illuvials on this survival battle mode. However, with this entire game being developed with the idea of maybe survival getting people's interest into Arena, the more one-to-one and exact behaviors, the better. So, like, it says Templar here as well, but if that's just a little fern, that's not a Templar. So I'm curious as to how this game will end up being developed, and if it's going to be one-to-one with Arena, or if it's going to have a couple of creative liberties attached to it. Just getting gold, I imagine, every single round. That was very similar to what we saw with Survival before. And then here's the other image that came through in the Discord as well, with a bunch of what looks like a ladder-based kind of system, a certain pathway that you could potentially take, and just basically making for a very repeatable, go as far as you can before you end up falling kind of style here. So if you're interested in the playtest for what I imagine, they didn't come out straight up and say this. They said, oh, this is a surprise. But anybody who followed the town halls and has followed the news for the, say, last couple of months knew that this was in the works. So it's not necessarily a surprise per se. But with the fact that it's almost playtestable already is pretty cool, because we also have yet another playtest that you can sign up for, which I imagine has or is very highly sought after on essentially everybody's radar here. And that is going to be, of course, the playtest for Obelisk Rising. You can now actually sign up for this. I saw this on the X account for Obelisk Rising not too long ago, but you can get onto the playtest spot by just going to the Illuvium website, and under Obelisk Rising it's here, or you can even go to obeliskrising.com. That is in the description of this video if you want a quick link there to get to this website and get signed up so that you can actually be a part of the Obelisk Rising playtest. I know lots of people coming on through are coming back now that they're starting to see Obelisk Rising's social media accounts get a little bit more active, and they're here for the good stuff. So get onto the founders list here so that you can get onto the playtest as soon as possible. Hector, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And then we have an arena patch. No, not the one from last week. We got another one. So it was really cool to see that we got essentially a solid change literally a week after we just got the last balance change. Since the Arena dev chat, I give like mad props to the dev teams currently working on Arena, because not only are they doing consistent changes already, but the changes themselves are actually rather meaningful in my opinion, and straight up sometimes make the Illuvials behave a little bit differently, especially for some of them that maybe, excuse me, are a little bit underwhelming over the last little while. Big Man JB, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day as well. Monster, good to see you too. Hope you're having a great day. The play tests are going to keep us busy. Hope we can stream them. Absolutely. I'm personally very eager, because I know we did say for the last Obelisk Rising playtest, near the end of the playtest, the NDA got lifted, so you could actually make content out of it. Personally, I'm hoping we can do it maybe a little bit sooner, because I know, at least for myself, I only got, say, one stream out of it. But it's just unlucky. But I do definitely hope that we have the opportunity to showcase the game a little bit, even though it's still in development. Now, I was talking about the Arena patch, so this is the next one coming on through. Let me hop on over right here, right now. So, 1:17:10 this time by. A couple of balanced updates. First and foremost, with the matchmaking. Of course, in the last patch, we saw that they essentially split up the queues into two, making anybody either 1280 or below play in a newcomer queue, where the bots were nowhere near as powerful as normal ranked. And at the same time, they would never run into a pro who has a higher, or someone who has a higher rating than that. So it does genuinely allow for newcomers to actually play the game, not get completely killed on their first couple of ranked games, and it's been an absolute blessing. But it does seem like people are getting into above 1280 and then immediately getting stomped out, because I guess the bots in the lower queue or maybe just a little bit too weak. So they did actually add some more difficult bots into the lower queue, I think, to try and add like a little bit of a climbable ladder of sorts. Like, you might have before have been able to hop into ranked and essentially guarantee yourself right off the rip a second or a third. Maybe this puts you kind of stuck in, say, like fourth or fifth for a little bit, or maybe you say third or fourth. So climbing up to that rating will take a little bit longer, and the threshold at which you bypass that, in theory, you should be much stronger to then take on the standard mode here with ranked. We did see a couple of alluvial changes here. Axon and Karadulo, so the two the two tier 1 tanks that we see a ton, essentially splashed into many team compositions, but especially with 8 water being so strong, it looks like they took a swing at them, considering how easy they are to get, with the Axon in particular losing some health, starting energy, as well as some energy resistance. Similar nature here for the Karadulo, where their health is going to go down alongside their physical and energy resistances. Now the Kukulus, this one was kind of under the radar, but a few people had kind of brought this up because we were looking at, say, the Aqua Blaster stun and how it was able to stun lock people in game, but the Kukulus was almost just as capable of doing that with the stun at its current duration. So they do take it down a little bit, and then if you put Kukulus onto like a water team where it got energy not energy resistance, but energy regen, then we would see that Omega just get fired off over and over and over again and essentially stun lock. So we're going to get a small half-second removal onto that stun, and then Titanor going to get a small buff, actually, where we're going to see their HP go up by about 250. Like, they take feedback and use it to fix things 100%, and it's much, much faster now, so it seems, since after the Arena Dev Chat, so I'm very, very happy about that. What I'm also very, very happy about is the fact that Lynxes got some love here in this patch. Of course, for the longest time, people would essentially play baby Lynxes only, and then ever so slightly, or ever so rarely, maybe evolve into that middle stage evolution and kind of call it there. Very rarely would you ever see people actually go all the way up, fully invest into a fully evolved Lynx. A lot of times people would see the fully evolved Lynxes kind of as a noob trap, sort of speak, where they'd be investing so heavily into getting said Lynxes that they then don't have much of a setup for the late game. And with that, the Lynxes weren't necessarily great in the late game. But we do have a little bit of a change coming on through here for specifically the Stage 3 Lynxes. Depending on the affinity that they have, they will be getting some sort of snowballing buff here. Where every single time they fire off their Omega, they're going to be gaining some sort of snowballing effect. So Fire, going to be getting a 3% attack damage increase, which is absolutely beautiful. Water going to be getting an energy regen increase, Earth physical resistance, Air energy resistance, and then Nature health regen. So this puts these Stage 3 Lynxes now at a spot where they're at least a little bit more valuable, and they're not going to be completely cooked when they come to the late game. They do emphasize that they've started this off as a slow snowball, because you don't want to overwhelm it, so to speak. But this could also definitely potentially get adjusted to be greater if need be in a little bit later. Would be cool if the effects were team-wide. It would definitely make it more useful in other team comps. However, balancing that would be a goddamn nightmare. 100% that would be cool as like a bit of a support, so to speak. But that is going to be tough to balance, I do imagine. So I don't mind that it's just specifically the Stage 3 Lynx itself getting the buff here. And this, of course, will apply regardless of what class it is. There was also a buff that was given to the Empath Lynx, where we're going to see their defenses get buffed up a little bit because they want them. They've noticed that the Lynxes, the Virtuous Lynxes, are a little bit on the underwhelming side. But we've seen before what happens when their healing numbers become a little bit too outrageous. So we're going to get them a little bit tankier. So this starts, I believe, for the stage 2s as well. But then the fully evolved ones will also get involved there with a little bit more additional tankiness. Yeah, water, absolutely. Should probably take a pause here. Just like a small drone buff so it doesn't break things. Potentially, that'd be an interesting way to do it. A couple of changes on the weapon side of things here today as well. The Tempest Lance in this patch is going to have its Omega come out a little bit sooner, where the Omega is not going to cost as much. The Ember Buckler, so this is the Earth Bulwark weapon, not to be confused with the Sprout Guard, which is the Earth Scion weapon. But having a little bit more starting energy, so it gets that additional damage reduction just that much quicker. So additional starting energy, but also lowering the Omega cost with that as well. So 2 pretty significant buffs to get that damage reduction out much quicker. Now the Ember Bastion, or no, Ember Buckler, excuse me, that's the Fire Bulwark weapon. So it's the stun instead, where we're going to be getting that a little bit quicker. Because then here's the Ember Bastion. This is the Earth Bulwark weapon that I'm talking about. Where we're getting that damage reduction, actually getting a small buff in regards to how much it's reducing, and then Omega cost going down. Excuse me, they're both very similar in nature, and that threw me off there for a second. We did also see, even on stream yesterday, like what happens now with the Earthgrass Scepter. It did get a buff, and it actually feels pretty good, not going to lie. Its Omega cast or cost is going down by 20, so it comes out quicker, and then it actually has enough damage here to really make a dent, which is really cool to see. Now, I was touching on it a little bit, and we do have a nerf to some weapon amplifiers. So the Glacial Grip is the one that got smoked here, because in a Tsunami setup with 8 water, you could absolutely stun lock an Illuvial right out of the fight, 100 to 0, slowly but surely until they died, unless the Ranger somehow got stunned outside of it. So we're going to see not only a reduction into the Omega's stun duration for picking up that upgrade, but we're also going to get a 100 health reduction here, making that Ranger a little bit squishier. The infinite range upgrade on the Strike Boomerang, that's the firefighting weapon, is going to be nerfed as well. Here we're going to see a significant health decrease by 100, and then the amount of damage you get going down, down to 5. The Fortified Barrier. So this is the problem one here for the Sprout Guard. In fact, we have 2 nerfs here to the Sprout Guard in particular, because it felt essentially unkillable for the last little while. So we're going to see a 200 health decrease here for the Fortified Barrier, where the additional Omega you get is also going down by 200. And then the Verdant Resilience, where you're going to see a 100 health reduction alongside the max health shield that you would end up getting going down by 10%. So they're really trying to make it so that the unkillable Ranger is no longer a thing. The Desperation Surge, this is where you get additional attack speed when you get low. It was apparently a little bit too strong based on the data. So we're going to see a 200 health decrease alongside a small attack speed decrease per missing health. And the maximum attack speed that you can get is going to go down from 40 to 30%. We're going to see a buff here to two augments on the Galewind Bow side of things. Of course, normally the go-to would be the Execution one, and then you kind of could pick your poison for the other. But what we're going to get here for the Storm Amplifier, so the amplified Omega damage, so that it's actually just hitting harder when you use it, we're going to be a little bit tankier and do a little bit more damage. And then for the Galewind Bow here as well, when you go untargetable, it was a very short 1.5 seconds. Now it's going to be buffed up to 2 seconds, while also getting a little bit of additional health, 200 additional health to be specific. We do have a couple swings towards the drone augments here as well, where you get just the raw amount of attack speed here with lightning speed. That's going to be going down by 4% in the later rounds. Solid Start, where you have the invulnerability, is going to be taken down to taken down a half a second per stage. Veteran's Might, so this is the one that you would pick if you're going to make sure your tier 4 was the hyper carry, because it just buffs, I believe it was the 2 tier 4s. We're going to see a solid reduction across the board here. essentially 2, 3, and it looks like 5, 5 and 4 points respectively here per stage. A couple of our augments are going to take a small smack here as well. In particular, the Phase Breaker, that is going to be taken down to 40% health. So what you can't do anymore is stack the Overflowing Impact Reactor and Phase Breaker without some sort of diminishing return, so to speak. They're both going to now proc, I believe, at 40% health. And then the untargetability is going to be going down by half a second here as well. The Piercing Force Reactor, this is the one that allows you to do damage based off of your target's max health. Because of that effect, it does a ton of damage in its own right, so some of its raw damage is going to be taken down, 5% reduction. The Disruptive Force Reactor, again, this is the utility-based one when you're trying to get True Sight. We're going to have a reduction in attack damage by 5% once again, and then the amount of attack speed is a very negligible 1% now. The Synchronizing Pulse Reactor, where you're getting your energy resist into piercing and then physical attack damage into energy damage. We're going to see a nerf on both fronts on that regard. Energy resist going down by 4% and then 3% for the energy or the physical damage converted to energy. And then last but not least here, the Resonating Pulse Reactor, where every time you use your Omega, you do end up getting some attack speed based off of your Omega power. We are going to see the raw attack damage going down by 5%, the raw amount of Omega power going down by 5%, and then the amount of attack speed gains per Omega going down to 3% from 4%. In regards to some of the actual not the synergies, but the synergies or the elements here in the game, we're going to, which I find kind of scary here to me, but we do see it change to Bloom, where they are going to be getting additional health every single time now. Looks like 25 across the board, with the exception of that final stage with a bonus 50 health. So every single proc going to make you tankier. The health regen actually going up by 1 at every single stage, but the Omega power will stay the same. Phantom has actually had a bit of a rework here, which is kind of interesting. We are no longer going to be untargetable right at the start of battle, but now on first attack. So I'm imagining this is the first attack of the entire fight, and not the first attack of, like, per Illuvial. So I imagine the first attack of the entire fight now steals energy, essentially every single, the first attack now steals energy. So you can get an absolute boost to your energy, boost to getting your Omega extremely quickly into this match, which is absolutely incredible. Omega power gained on crit stays the same, and then the healing on Omega or Phantom 4 stays the same, because nobody is in the right mind is usually ever getting Phantom 4. So what I found kind of incredible, and we did see this on stream a little bit yesterday, but just how fast the Pterodactyl line actually gets their Omega now is very, very good. You can really hit a hard quick, and of course this goes to Monarch as well. And honestly, if you're worried about untargetability, you could always just throw the Phase Breaker onto your Ramp Fighter, onto your Pterodactyl, or your Monarch, right? So you can absolutely build around this. This is a much better way to play Phantom, in my opinion. For Revenant, they're going to be getting a little bit of an increase in regards to their shield and the splash damage. So Rogues, inadvertently getting a little bit of a buff here. And then Templar, which was definitely a rather under the radar kind of synergy, because people would splash it on everything. Rylu and then Fernite are both extremely easy to get, but the actual effect really couldn't be felt too much. So Templar is actually going to get a 1-point gain on every single stage in regards to their attack damage and resistances. So now, with all of this being said, where does this put us in terms of our current lay of the land in Illuvium Arena? We'll take a look in a second. Catching up with chat for a second, Bloom did not need the buff, potentially. I was definitely surprised by that one as well. Bloom was fine as it was. There's other things they could use a slight buff or rework. We'll see how things evolve while they patch more often. I mean, if they keep going like this, or they're just patching over and over, we'll be in great shape, and I'm very happy about that. Now, I hop over to the RattyData, of course, this didn't get rebooted since the latest patch. This is still based off of the data starting from last week's patch. But Steam Harbinger is still in the lead as of this moment, with Verdant Aegis kind of following up short behind. I do believe that is a bump up there for Aegis and Verdant, because I think they're just playing this essentially to counteract Steam Harbinger, which is then kind of funny because then Inferno Arcanite can still take care of the Verdant. So it's really interesting that we've got a little bit of a type triangle going on here at the top, or or water, nature, and fire are all near the top. Apparently Steam Behemoth is a thing as well. We're going to see both of our Behemoth teams in the A tier short to follow. Verdant Vanguard still holding strong in the A tier as well, with Invoker actually hanging on a little bit alongside Tsunami Harbinger. So this was what the team composition that a lot of people were very worried about, but it does not necessarily seem to be hitting as hard as compared to Steam Harbinger, which is your classic Umber-focused 8 water build. One thing that I would like to also make a note of here is the absolute fall off of Mystic. Even though lobbies are like lower or smaller in regards to how many players there are actually in the lobby, it still doesn't mean that going for Mystic is a great idea. We are only seeing one form of Mystic actually come on through in our top teams whatsoever, and it is a Dust Mystic variant. But even still, it's not like truly committed. This is almost like a half mud team, it looks like, based off of the team composition listed below. So Mystics seem to have completely fallen off a cliff after this, or the last couple patches. So it's an interesting spot here for Arena. I'm honestly quite happy. I've been having a lot of fun actually playing. It doesn't feel like anything's truly running away with the meta. I mean, obviously keep an eye on Steam and Harbinger, but otherwise it's been feeling pretty decent. I know for a lot of people in the Discord anyway, Tsunami is still a point of concern, but does the data necessarily reflect that? Maybe not, but we'll have to see as we continue to play some ranked games and see as more matches happen what seems to be standing out. And since Perry and the rest of the dev team are actually giving Arena some actual care, I imagine if anything pops up, they'll shoot it down nice and quick. I think they should do a vote each week with ideas they have and if the community agrees or not. Definitely, ideas in regards to balance, or what are you talking about there, JB? All right, the next thing to go over here is Illuvium Deathmatch. I want to take a look at some of the graveyard totals over the last 7 days into this one. We are now, in terms of all-time burns, of course, we just passed the 500,000 mark last week, and now we're at the point of 500,000 or 537,000 and a half, to say the least. So with that, that was an additional 27,000 Illuvials killed off over the last 7 days. The Illuvial supply is definitely going down, and especially if you're trying to hunt down any of those tier 5s, it seems very difficult to actually find one really at all. And then in regards to the most burned lines, the Lynx was the most killed off Illuvial over the last 3 weeks, but that run finally does come to an end. It's actually going to be the lesser Apon that is being killed off the most, with the Kuka and the Atlas short to follow on the podium. The Lynx is still there in 6th, but then Chuko, Tiru 4th and 5th, Archie and Totofi going to be rounding up your top 8. So basically all the tier 1s still essentially getting killed off, which, considering they're the lesser rare Illuvials in the game, that does make sense. A lot of people had an absolute abundance of them, and they were already pretty high over the last couple of weeks anyway. But they have finally surpassed the Lynx. In regards to the unluckiest players as to who's killed off the most Illuvials over the last 7 days, A to the G leads the charge of over 4,288 Illuvials killed. Inspiring Doko at 3,700. Jub 3,411. Those three have been absolutely grinding, and we're seeing a big drop down where we then see RattyData in 4th at 1,357. Junior going to be there with 1,300 as well. The Chassis and P1 going to be there with 1,200, and then Cyberset and Haligon just under 1,000 Illuvials killed over the last 7 days. In regards to the player numbers here for the Deathmatch Graveyard, I do also want to take a peek at it because we see that it's basically at a bit of a steady spot compared to the last couple of weeks. Does not seem like there's some sort of major increase or decrease on either side, with in the last 24 hours about 59 players active. And I will say, like, looking at the matches, it does seem, even for standard mode, I mean, it has hot and cold periods, but there's almost something happening every hour or so. And then free mode over the last little bit has had maybe 2-3 lobbies going at all times, which is a pretty good to see. Let me go over to the display cap here, actually, and kind of show you what I'm talking about going into this one. So we take a look at global results. Like, over the last hour or so, like, look at that. There's over 4 matches happening at the back to back to back. That's good to see. A couple of hours ago. There's no big gaps, really, for a very, very long time here. Over, maybe say earlier this morning. So, okay, like 8 o'clock in the morning for North Americans. Like, maybe, okay, it slows down a little bit. But overall, especially now in the, say, North American afternoon here, around, say, 8 o'clock UTC, it's definitely kicking off rather nicely. And I do also want to make note of a little bit of a trend that I'm noticing here in Standard over the last couple days. If you look at the Illuvials that are actually winning the battles here, for the longest time, this essentially just became a cesspool of Tier 5s and Tier 4 fully evolved Illuvials. But now that seems to have fallen off rather significantly, to the point where we're seeing, like, Exalted Gorilla coming on through. Blotto, ex-billionaire, Grats Axe with a couple of fantastic wins here, it looks like, as well over the last hour or so. But Exalted Gorillas, Greater Gorillas, I think these are hollowed out or even Dark Hollow. The people aren't necessarily firing in Tier 5s anymore, which is honestly a fantastic change of pace. One thing that is also rather interesting here as well, for the standard jackpot, it is all the way up now to $170. The last jackpot that was won was actually won by Stone Borges over 15 days ago. So the lack of a jackpot being a hit means this one's actually building up pretty high, to the point where it has actually surpassed the jackpot for the advanced mode. Advanced mode, if I do take a look at the global results for that, oh, yay, that's actually kind of bad. So we're going to quickly take a look at the advanced mode. The last round of advanced mode that was played was actually over 9 days ago. Advanced mode, for no other way to explain it, seems to be dead as of this moment. Just no point apparently chasing after it. It's been stuck at like 4 out of 10 for a very, very long time. Does not seem like it is going anywhere. Monster was the last one to actually win a match in that one, and again, that was 9 days ago. Green, good to see you. Behind on the ILV news. As long as you're talking about Illuvium but not the token, I've got you. So, perfect. But if we take a look at the leaderboards, of course, with this being a Wednesday, it means that we do have a leaderboard snapshot coming around the corner here in just a couple of hours. We'll hop into that right here, right now, starting off with the Gauntlet ranked side of things. So yeah, just under 4 hours left before the leaderboard gets locked in, and 21 Knight has been on an absolute tear, an inhumane level of games. They live and breathe and die Illuvium, apparently, because they have an absolute absurd amount of games here. 432 in this season. Absolutely incredible stuff coming out there from them, to the point where they almost have a 1,000 rating bonus, or a 1,000 rating gap, to Bart from Atlas, sitting there in second place. Badul going to hang on to third, Drakenyen in fourth, Texan up to fifth, Wolverine going to be in 6th. Antoshino moving it up to 7th. Hector going to be in 8th. Test 001 in 9th. And then Droa going to round up our top 10. And for me personally, I'm hanging into the top 30. We're doing a pretty decent job, but Goofy's taken my spot back. I was in the top 25 at one point. I'll have to see if I can maybe catch up to Goofy here sometime later on this afternoon. In regards to Illuvium Beyond, of course, Wave 5 has completed. We're a little bit in between sets. Has there been any sort of movement here on the leaderboard? I don't expect there to be, but let's take a look anyway. Alexa still leading the charge alongside final boss leader Akola. And then Hector going to be in 4th, Jub 5th, Samsara in 6th, Hyper Hunter 7th, Bondaddy Ratty 8th, Stevo and McSign rounding up the top 10. So absolutely no movement until we see Zyfet actually making the move up to 23rd. Al's Toy Barn going up to 26th, and a couple moves here for a few more players as well. Commander Hobbs, Fubar, Zando, Phil, Stray Dog. There's a little bit of movement in the midsection, but near the top, no challenge it would seem. But now in regards to Illuvium 0, what does the total prize pool seem to be today? We had 0.03 Ethereum last week. We are back down to 0.01, so a little bit of a quieter week here on the sales front, which means the amount of rewards is going to be a little bit smaller. But that being said, let's see who's still winning this thing. It looks like Teresa going to lead the charge with first place, and then Yabeezer, Zev, Bora, and Sergio rounding up the top 5. Alex, Bernolion, Exuberant Ramp Fight, Winks, and Chrisar D. Polish. That is a new one here for me. Going to round up our top 10 for Illuvium 0. So again, 4 hours, or just under 4 hours before that does close down. Lock your spot in and get potentially a little bit of rewards in the next little bit. Ex-Billionaire, good to see you. We were just talking about you on the deathmatch side of things, and I'm sure we'll talk about you in just a second here as well. Good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Did I see your Tier 5 total supply change from July 9th in the deathmatch channel? Yes, I did, and I'm curious as to where you got the data from, because I would definitely love to get have a look at it for when I do my endangered alluvial list. Now, how about leaderboards for Illuvium Deathmatch? Let's quickly go back to the display cap here for just a second. Over the last 7 days, who's been popping off? It looks like Tipsy, I think to the surprise of nobody. They've been absolutely crushing it with a lot of Dark Hollows, going to be leading the charge with 174 bucks won this in this session. The Speto Vault going to be just under 100 bucks earned there, with Furies to follow with 66, Ex-Billionaire in 4th, Mothpuck or Monster going to be in 5th, Sir Dexter Monarch going to be in 6th with 50 bucks, Money Shot going to have 38 won, Halagon with 37, Cycled 33, and then Hector just under 30 bucks to break into the top 10. Both challengers lost. We kind of saw it a little bit on the earlier portion, but still it seems like Cycled, with in standard mode alone, losing 65, is going to lead the charge here. I take a look at Advanced, however, Advanced has not had a match in 7 days, so we're not going to look at that. We're going to instead look at the free side of things, where we see Hector from Mad Dogs going to lead the charge of over 37,500. The Bones won. So, incredible run for them here this week, with RattyData short to follow, and Jub both at 36,000 apiece. Aqua Squawk 33,000. A to the G to 29,000, considering they were the biggest loser of sorts in terms of alluvials killed. Considering they're going so hard into the free mode, that definitely makes sense. Tipsy's also going to be here with 28,000 or 20,500. Cyber said 27,500. Missile going to be there 26,000, almost 27,000. This Chassis MP1 going to be there with 24. And to round up the top 10, that's going to be BLS, who I know absolutely farmed me earlier in the week. They're just under 23,000, going to hold 10th spot. He wrote down the total supply on July 9th and just updated it today. Was that just off the Lubidex? Yeah, because not this week coming up, but next week I do want to do another population report. And my data was going off of the number of listed alluvials, not total. So I would be very interested in seeing what total says. For our top sales here for the week, we're going to start things off on the alluvial front. Okay, so it is just off the Illuvidex, right? Okay. Alright, top sales for alluvials over the last 7 days. We had a couple of fantastic, or a fantastic week last week, where we did see a handful of alluvials going for, say, 75 to 100 some odd dollars. Does that keep up this week, however? We'll have to see. Hopping into display right here, right now, your top 25 alluvial sales for the week. So first and foremost is Joko, level 20. Matter 1, picking this one up. Matter 1, a relatively newcomer to the Illuvium scene. Happy to see that they're picking up some alluvials to level up the squad. This Joko is going to be an absolute beast. Good to see them. Offensively beautiful. Defensively very, very strong as well. Nice pickup there, Matter 1. Philo going to be picking up this Rampfire for 29 TPI for just over $8. We've got another one to Protoss, or Proto-SS. I'll call it Protoss for now because I'm biased to StarCraft. But Protoss is going to be picking this one up here for about $8 as well. And we've got Kaimax going to pick up this one here as well for just under $9. So a couple of new faces breaking it into the top sales for the week this week. How about this Titanor 52 TPI, just under $9, going over to Phoenix Hermione. Very nice pickup there, congrats. How about another Rampfire? What is it with the amount of Rampfires so far today? That's kind of incredible. So $9 for this Rampfire for Money Shot 69, congratulations there. A very beautiful Jotun, a hollowed out one at that. It might not be competitively sound, but I imagine this is probably meant for Deathmatch, and with it being from Jub, yeah, it was probably for Deathmatch. So for just over $9 on that one. Rampfire number 5 of the day, going on over for just over $10, going over to Junior 3. Congratulations. A very low TPI Seer with Hollow, which screams to me Deathmatch, for over $10. Definitely Deathmatch, now I see that went over to Jub. Ex-billionaire with the sauce actually here. I think it's related to the RattyData poker tournament. The stakes were pterodactyls. Okay, that definitely makes sense then. Why it's a couple of lower level, why there's a lot of low TPI Rampfires. So the RattyData poker tournament's actually making effect here on the economy a little bit here over the last week. This beautifully, competitively perfect art shows for just under, or for just over $11. Hogan picking that one up. A beautiful art shows. Congratulations. A pretty decent little dash here. 66 TPI for just over 11. Going over to Minecraft. That could be anywhere. That could be Arena. That could be Deathmatch. But either way, congratulations. Making it to the halfway point here, we see this beautiful Fern. Just missing a few stats defensively, but a 95 TPI going over to Hogan for just over 11. Congratulations, Hogan. Bon Daddy Ratty picking up a little Terror Bird for themselves. A beautifully offensive foe. 92 TPI there for just under $12. A Dual F getting picked up here as well. 49 TPI, just over $12. Going over to Money Shot 69. We do also have for just over $13 yet another competitively awesome foe. Going to be picked up by Doom. 92 TPI. A pretty much perfect Greater Grilla, 99 TPI Grilla, going for just over $13. It's only missing move speed, so that's absolutely nothing. This thing, it's Omega, jumps it all over the field naturally. And it's starting to get some levels on it. This is going over to Infidel. Congratulations, Infidel. A very cheap Tier 4 Dark Hollow, absolutely. We have a Dark Hollow Link, 76 TPI for this one, just under $14, going over to Sergio. Then we've got an Alfie, offensively beautiful, not too bad tank-wise as well, just over $14, going over to Minecraft. As we reach our top sales of the week, let's take a look and see what we've got. Jotun, 91 TPI, Defensively, absolutely fantastic. Offensively, not too bad. Hate to see that the Omega solo, but still, 91 TPI for just under $17 going over to MJCE. Congratulations there, MJ. Now we're starting to find a couple of holos, and when I see holos up here, I'm normally thinking Deathmatch. Or is this just a stylish Riptorus? Let's take a look. This Dark Hollow Riptorus just under 20 bucks. Going over to Tipsy. Yeah, that's Deathmatch. That's going to Deathmatch for sure. A hollowed out Phosphorus Tier 5 Stage 3. This is as rare as it gets without it being necessarily a Dark Hollow. The TPI might be rough, but that would not matter in Deathmatch as much compared to certain game modes. So we are going to see Axel from Apex, a name I haven't seen in a little while. Congratulations there, Axel, for just under 24. We have a Dark Hollow Kukaraf. I don't know what it is about Dark Hollow Kukarafs, but it seems to be taking over the free mode and the standard mode of the Deathmatch over the last couple of days. For just over 32 bucks, we are going to see Tier 5 Stage 3 Hollow picking this one up. A beautiful turtle after my heart. This Archelian level 40, 72 TPI Dark Hollow sold for just over 43 bucks. This one going over to Tipsy, which means this thing's probably dead as hell. That makes me super, super sad. We have a competitively beautiful Blazonite going to be for just over 59 bucks. 93 TPI onto this one. And that goes over to the Balian Ranger, who has been leveling up rather nicely in the arena over the last couple of weeks. I see you, Balian. Congratulations. And the biggest sale of the week, a dramatically lower amounts compared to last week, but that's still okay. Nonetheless, here, a beautiful Dark Hollow Blazonite coming on through, just under 60 bucks on this one. TPI a little bit low, but this one being picked up by Axel from Apex. Congratulations, Axel. Wolfie, good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Seen this game about a year ago. It's not AAA. The goal from, I know that was a terminology that they kind of threw around over the last, or when, not the last, but over their early stages, that they're trying to make the, like, a AAA Web3 game, so to speak. But it is a small team, so it's not necessarily like AAA studio, so to speak. I know they aim big, but I would not consider this AAA. No. Just not a big enough studio. Not that they're not trying hard, because they're definitely trying hard. But this is weird. I wouldn't call this indie, but I wouldn't call it AAA either, if that makes sense. We still do have top sales. I want to take a look on the Illuvium Zero side of things here in just a second. And I think, of course, my stance on Illuvium Zero has been rather obvious, right? I've been pretty vocal about the point that right now for Illuvium Zero, there's essentially no reason to play it. If you're buying land right now, it's purely to build your city for the speculation that eventually a feature will get added to actually make the game fun and have utility. Which right now, unless you have tier 4s and tier 5s, like you're not scratching a dent on the fuel burning side of things, and the weekly Ethereum prizes are rather low as well. So anybody coming on into Illuvium Zero looking to get paid are going to be absolutely shut down. Anybody looking to get into Illuvium Zero for the sake of enjoyment and fun are also kind of getting shut down a little bit. And that is going to reflect big time here in the land sales, because there is only one, and it's a tier 1. We've seen absolutely nothing in regards to land sales for this week, with the exception of this one. Tier 1 went for about just under 55 bucks, going over to Bozonak. So good to see a new name there, build up that tier 1, have some fun in the process of building up that tier 1. But hopefully by the time that land is filled up and ready, that there's actually something to do with it. Because I know we were talking before about how Illuvium Marina feels neglected. Well, Illuvium Zero would like you to hold its beer, because if we're complaining, they've been neglected for way damn longer. I get that it's the support game for the Illuvium universe, and because Obelisk Rising isn't out yet, the amount of things it can do is limited. But we've had 7 months or so of being teased about training gyms. We've been teased about Sancta Mesa rewards for about 3-4 months, and there's been absolutely zero movement on to anything Illuvium Zero related. The only thing we had seen update-wise for Illuvium Zero over, say, the last 6 to 8 months would have been a quality of life change for blueprints, so that you don't have to have a suit and drone blueprint for every single Illuvial now. It's just either, or you just have an Illuvial's blueprint. So instead of an Atlas having a Atlas suit, an Atlas drone blueprint, it's now just Atlas. Max Billionaire, you catching my drift, are you? Okay, this classic, yes, 6 to 7. It's crazy how many times that just naturally comes up in conversation, because it's generally been like 6 or 7 months since we've gotten really anything around Illuvium Zero, if not longer. But you caught me. I changed it to 6 to 8, yes. Yeah, we're a little bit weak on the Illuvium Zero front. That's one of the next things. Arena's finally starting to get some love. I would love to see Illuvium Zero get something sometime soon, especially something that's been promised for months, if not years at this point. Training gyms would be a game changer, and it's not something we would need to wait for Obelisk Rising for to find value. The only reason why, at least to me speculatory, the only reason why it's not been implemented, at least in my opinion, is because they just straight up don't want us to have leveled up Illuvials going into Obelisk Rising. Even though we would be mainly using it for Arena right now. So, I don't know. It's a little bit disappointing. Because, yeah, gyms are on the mythical mysteries of Illuvium's list alongside Sancta Mesa rewards. What the heck does staking V3 actually do? And it's definitely frustrating. So it's good to see you. You keep saying 6 to 7 as well, accidentally. It happens. It happens. Now, before we get into the recap of House League and into the House League prizes from last week's events, I do want to go over an event that we will be doing on Saturday. Of course, we do have the RattyData Tournament Finals going to be taking place. It'll be Saturday, 3 o'clock Eastern Time or 7 p.m. UTC. And we will be playing the top 8 in a best of 3 to see who wins this month's event here in the RattyData Finals. Now, this event as a whole, just kind of a recap of how you even get into it, there is on the RattyData site, which is, say, the website that I use for a lot of my deathmatch statistics and the Illuvium meta, they have their own tournaments where if you do buy an NFT of some sort, so like one of the RattyData NFTs, there's a tournament one, and I believe there is a club one. It gets you access to some of these tournaments, which then also do have prizes, like the ones we're going to display right here, right now. Last month, it was, I believe, a $500 prize pool. This time, we've got a bunch of different game pieces, whether it be from Beyond or for Arena, or, say, potentially Obelisk Rising in the form of Illuvatars and the form of Illuvials themselves. Honestly, if Illuvium IP is still alive in a couple of years, anybody would be able to vibe code a better Illuvium Zero game. Potentially. I'd love to see what Illuvium themselves can do. But definitely the potential. A few days or a week at most, yeah. And here, pause for a second. That's one thing that frustrates me as well, because I'm not a developer. I'm never going to say that it's easy or anything along those lines. But some of the stuff that I do see happening with game devs, especially now that I see even what Perry's doing with Illuvium Arena. it makes me really angry over like how we were treated over the last couple of months, because it felt like a lot of the things that we were asking for was always just too much effort, too much resources. Then you have Perry coming on in here, and within 2 weeks of taking over Illuvium, not only have they patched the game twice, but they've changed how Phantom works, they've changed how Lynxes work, and they're completely able to get those out stupid quickly. Now, those are changes and not new developments. But it also makes me think of, is it just a matter that we're not getting, say, Illuvium 0 updates just because they don't want us to have Illuvium 0 updates? That is my speculation. Again, not actually fact. I've seen nothing on the Discord that suggests that that Illuvium 0 is intentionally being left to suffer and left to rot. But especially when I talk to, or when I see in the Discord every once in a while, that some people say like, "Oh, Illuvium 0, how I failed you, how we wish that we can start over," or something along those lines. It does just feel like a lack of wanting to, instead of actually being able to, if that makes sense. Again, speculation though. Back to the RattyData Finals. So a proud Airflish and the Goliant Illuvatar is going to be there for first place, alongside a beautifully competitive Twine and TB Ruko from the 90s for both of those, 95 and 93 respectively. Absolute beautiful stuff coming out there for Ratty. Second place, not too shabby either. Octius going to be coming on through for the Illuvatar alongside Vermilia, and Caradulo as our 90 TPI pickups this time by. For third, you're going to get the Growling Jotun Illuvatar alongside a beautiful Lynx and a Chukoral. So awesome to see. Again, that will be happening on Saturday. And 1 second, that is going to be a bang. Later. All right. Where was it? Yeah, we're going to be doing that. It's a best of 3. It's not going to be checkmate, but that is a-okay. Still a best of 3. Most points over the last, over those 3 games will end up being the winner. Last week, we did see Bart take the win, and actually I realized I did not actually go over who's actually in the top 8 right now. So as it stands, Wolverine 777 Hype, Draknyen, Bart from Atlas, Texit, Hector from Mad Dogs, Androa, Zyfat, and Nocacho going to be in our top 8 final match later on this weekend, with potentially Nariba. And Nariba's still hanging around here. Let's go, Nariba. Bondaddy Ratty, Mothbuck Monsters right there. Follow Die, that's a new name to me. Interesting to see. Dr. Spoon and Thanatos, and then Surfer Dude JB. So there's a few players. Of course, God forbid somebody no-shows from the top 8. Make sure you're still ready just in case, because you might very well be called upon. Now, how about House League? Of course, House League is our free-to-enter event that happens every single Friday. Of course, we have one happening this Friday as well. Registration form for House League is in the description of this video and will be on Discord very shortly as well. But the idea is that I take all the players I sort you out by your collection score, your levels, your TPI of your Illuvials, what your collection kind of looks like, and I put you into a lobby in a best of 1 match with people in the similar level of collection and TPI and that kind of stuff. So you're always going to be in a lobby that should be a fair fight. You should never be getting stomped just because of your level. That is the goal of House League. And last week, we did see a pretty incredible back and forth battle. Especially, I remember the Monarch Masters game being absolutely ridiculous. That for the Caribou Cup, we were going to have 4, but unfortunately, 2 of our newcomers had a hard time getting joined in. I didn't have their Discord. I'm hoping that Matter and Kira can potentially join us here this week if all things goes well. But we did have our classic battle between Ethit and Robert Tacho. Robert Tacho went for a very risky play, going for a shock-based team, and unfortunately, even though they did land the pieces, it was too late, and Ethit was able to run away with that game. And Robert Tacho, if I recall correctly, actually fell out rather early in the battle as a whole, whether it was like 6th or 7th. They were very low on the list that time. So Ethan got the win. And then in the Lynx League, we had a little bit of what we would call in NASCAR a bushwhacker, where we did see somebody who normally plays in Monarch go to try something new, build up another team of sorts, where they then go into a lower division. So we did see Deathmatch Daddy, aka Bond Daddy Ratty, going to be taking the win in that Lynx League with a fantastic back and forth battle there with Blazin. Blazin so close to potentially getting their first win, but they could take solace knowing that they lost to a veteran of the community who's trying to level up a 90 plus TPI account, which is absolutely crazy as well. And then Monster or Mothbuck was able to get third into that one. I won't say it again. I see you, X. I can feel every time it comes up, I can feel it radiating on my shoulders. Like I know it's coming. But then for the Monarch Masters, for the first time, we have Kirito picking up a win in an incredible back and forth battle once again up against Hector, and then Dr. Spoon coming in third there. We're going to be opening up all of your Illuvial prizes in just a few minutes. In fact, I'm going to end up getting that situated, I think, in just a second. Double check to make sure that I actually have the screen set up. Yes, we do. We're good. All right, perfect. Oh, I wasn't on studio mode. You saw me transition everything. It is what it is. Yeah, so we've got a bunch of prizes to be given out here. So in terms of the news, I'll absolutely be discussing things while opening packs and whatnot. But in terms of the regularly scheduled news session here for This Week in Illuvium, that will be it's there. But we aren't done the stream by any means. It is time to open up some Illuvials. Alrighty. Let's fix this a little bit. Screw it, we do it live. That's better. Okay, so we're going to start from the bottom or start from the top? I think we'll start from the top here today. Okay. So after an incredible battle, of course, everybody who's going to be having these packs go their way, once again, was thanks to the Illuvium Arena House League. Big thank you to Illuvium as a whole, because they were able to provide the skulls, which are used to open these packs into Deathmatch. I withdraw those Illuvials from Deathmatch and then send them to all the players very shortly afterwards. Normally by tomorrow morning, I'll have it done. And then we open it up live so we can celebrate the pulls together. And then, of course, for Caribou Cup as well, one thing I realized I did not actually talk about yet was actually the community rescue. It seems like an appropriate time, because with this one, Ethan's going to have 9 points towards it. Robert Tacho has 7. And what that essentially means is that once we open up all the packs and we see what Illuvials are missing, I'll dive into the Caribou Cup players' accounts and see what they're missing, and I will send them an Illuvial, or a couple of Illuvials, depending on how many points they've earned, to get some of the Illuvials from the community rescue. This community rescue has essentially been made strictly for the sake of Caribou Cup prizing, so that we can keep getting newcomers some Illuvials. That way you can grow your collection by just playing the game, just playing Arena, and not needing to dive in and figure out how to do a crypto transaction. Not if you don't have the finances available to just go for, say, the fuel route with auto drones. That's okay. You can still grow your collection just by playing. Basically giving Illuvium Arena a free-to-play option, so to speak. The TPI for all these Illuvials, absolutely mixed. I'm not saying that they're going to be an absolute all-star. However, you at least have the Illuvial. If you were missing a foe, you now have a foe. Heck, if you're missing a tier 0, you can then get a tier 0 here as well. And then, of course, the other option here for the community rescue is I want to have at least 2 alluvials of every single type, because I would love for breeding to be a part of the game sometime. Specifically through Illuvium 0, I'd love to have breeding farms as a part of Illuvium 0 one day. And that way, especially with Deathmatch coming around, where a lot of alluvials are getting killed off, if there is ever the threat of a certain alluvial going extinct, we at least have 2 of them, we can at least breed them, and we can, no matter what, keep them alive, at least ever so slightly. They'll never truly go extinct, and for that, we've pretty much completed our goal. We're very close to that. The only ones that we are actually in need of, for the tier 0 side of things, it's actually a greater fire Valente. Oddly enough, I've not been able to pull one of those from any of my packs. And then for the rest, it's actually just tier 5s. We had just got 2 seers. I think during my deathmatch stream, we got the last 2 seers we needed to get up to there. I have a Blazonite that I just pulled today that I got to send over. But the 2 that I am looking for to be able to be safe for a breeding kind of scenario is actually an Adorius and a Phosphorus. Those are the 2 that I'm missing for the community rescue. Once we've got those housed, that goal will be complete, and then everything else is just all for Caribou Cup. So Ethan, since they did win Caribou Cup, their prizing could go all the way up to a tier 5 if I happen to have extras of one that they need. And then Robert Tacho can get tier 4 and below. But we'll do that after the openings, once we see what everyone is missing. So first and foremost, we have 3 packs here for Ethit. Let's get into that one right here, right now. Pop out. There you are. Oh, try it again. There we go. Come hide down here. That's better. All right, so Ethit is going to start us off. 3 packs for the win in Caribou Cup. Good luck. Let's see what we get off the start. A beautiful Lallura as our first big pull of the day. 86 TPI onto this Lallura. I bet that probably gets a starting roster spot on a lot of teams. So fantastic pickup there for Ethit. Granted, I don't know if they necessarily play a lot of Rogue, but maybe this will open up an avenue. That's absolutely fantastic. That's what it's all about. Congrats there, Ethit. What else do we have coming on through in terms of rarity? Got a couple of tier 3s and a tier 4 in here with a dash, but low TPI onto those ones. Any sort of standouts for some of our lower tiers? Got a Lesser Gorilla with 71 TPI onto that one. And a couple of 70s for some of our tier 0s, but basically that is the gist of it. So an awesome one there for Ethit. That's what we love to see. Is it possible that the death or the charts on the statistics and deathmatch are bugged, and you can see the graph looks different? Yeah, unfortunately, that has been the case for the last month or so, I think. Yeah, thank you for reporting it. Hopefully, it gets fixed sometime soon. But yeah, in terms of the chart specifics, do take care and be careful. And then, oh yeah, oh, that's not gonna work. Damn. Axe. This Lesser Valente has your name on it. If it wasn't defense. Alright, let's get these all sent out. And I still do have my little starter Tipo in here, so don't be confused. If I'm leaving one there, that's why. We'll send those off to the wallet. Okay, there that goes. Flashbang. Okay, so the packs for Ethit have been opened. We will be working on Community Rescue a little bit later. It'll be around the same time where I send the Illuvials to your account. So next up, Robert Tacho. With 2 packs coming their way. When they went for the riskiness, got themselves second still. And that's A-okay. Let's see if we can get them in these 2 packs. Make sure there's no glitches. All is good. Two packs here for Robert Toncho for the second place finish. Let's see what we score today. We're going to hit ourselves another big one coming on through here. That is going to be a little baby mammoth here with 83 TPI. That is a beautiful little mammoth. How about the Exalted Earth Flish right around the corner here as well? 74 TPI onto that beautiful little Flish. A couple of decent tier 3s coming on through here as well. 66 Slappin', 64 Heady. Not too bad. 73 onto that little Chuko. And then in regards to the rest of these tier 0s down below, nothing too crazy to stand about. It's just going to be that lesser Air Doka with 75 TPI. But not a bad little pack here for Robert Tacho. And especially since I know they don't mind playing some Scion, maybe this little baby mammoth will find a fantastic home. There we go. All right, 16 sounds about right. Fire those off. Let's get a Dark Hollow today. That'd be incredible. Okay, flashbang. Okay, Robert Tacho is set. Deathmatch Daddy, so Bond Daddy Ratty. The 90 TPI is the big thing for this team in particular, and we've got 6 packs to potentially maybe add to that incredible mission. Let's see what we can do. Load it up a 6. 3, 2, 1, fire away. Starting things off, the Virtuous Hydrolinks. That's not a bad one either. 74 TPI onto that one. We do have a Hollow Foe actually coming on through, so the TPI is a little bit lackluster, but still a Hollow Tier 5. That is an incredible find nonetheless. The Exalted Fire Valente, 73 TPI onto that one. Pretty nice. We got another Hollow, little Hollow Riptor coming out to play. 41 TPI onto that one. Another Hollow, this one going to be a Lynx at 55 TPI. Is there any sort of TPI standouts that could potentially get onto this team, though? I don't think I see one. Lesser Graco, 78 TPI onto that one, the highest I see for the tier 0s. So not quite going to find maybe something to start the roster here for Bond Daddy Ratty. But maybe looking at a bunch of bones, or at least collector's pieces, again, with all these hollows coming on through. So no matter what, congratulations here, Bond Daddy Ratty, or Deathmatch Daddy. Okay, set those off. Okay. Bond Daddy Ratty's all set. Next up will be Blazin'. Barely missing out on their first win, but a second is still an incredible finish. And with that, we have 4 packs coming their way. Quickly flick these over. Okay, the bug to go away. Perfect. Sometimes, I don't know what it is, but sometimes after doing a wallet transfer, they still show up in the my challengers menu. So I like to make sure those all disappear before I open up the next pack. Especially since when I am going through the submitting portion, or when I'm trying to transfer Illuvials, if I'm not careful, sometimes the website will actually show them out of order in regards to recency. So I got to make sure that that bug goes away, or the visual goes away for sure before actually doing it. Here though, much faster way to open packs, and that's what kills me, because I hate the revealing method of Deathmatch. This is extremely bare bones. There's no excitement here whatsoever. It's just opening. However, I can open these so much faster. So if Auto Drone Run somehow got a nice fancy bulk option, I could absolutely switch to that being the method. But we do not unfortunately have that option, so we'll just do it here through Deathmatch. But yeah, it is absolutely much quicker. Alright, so Blazin', that's 4 packs coming their way. 32 Illuvials, just for showing up to a free-to-enter best of 1. Congratulations here, Blazin'. Let's see what you get. Alright, we've got some tier 5s in the mix. There we go. So a little Alfie, but that is a very nice Alfie, if you know what I'm saying. Alongside 2 Singes, a Mule that is 73 TPI. That's a pretty decent polar bear. Nice to see. That's a good ace too. 73 TPI onto that one. A nice all-around pack so far here for Blazin'. 76 TPI onto that Lynx is a nice standout. What is it with Hollow Scorpions? We find yet another one into this one. Any sort of standouts amongst our tier 0s? Don't see anything as of yet. I mean, 76 onto a Lesser Earth Valente. Not bad, not bad. But a rather solid pack here for Blazin'. Congratulations once again. Yeah, I like the little Alfie. That's a good one. Now, of course, with all these Illuvials being sent out to the players, the way that I see it, as soon as these Illuvials are yours, it's up to you what you want to do with them. I don't have any sort of restriction that these can't be used for any certain purpose. No. As soon as the Illuvial is in your possession, you do you. I know some people, for example, a lot of these might just end up being deathmatch fodder. So a handful of people, maybe they end up getting put up for sale on the Illuvidex. But I also know that there are a small portion of players that may have just found their new arena starter, or maybe found an Illuvial they want to take with them into Obelisk Rising. And that's what it's all about. I absolutely love hearing about that, but I'm never going to give anybody hell for what they're doing with the Illuvials. Hector ordering up a Dark Hollow Dualef. Okay, let's see how it goes. You should be coming up shortly. Blazin's all set. Now, how about Monster? Mothpuck. Able to stay on the podium. I know their playstyle heavily involves them getting an early lead and then just hanging on, because I know some of their late game Illuvials might not necessarily have the levels, but you can strategically put yourself in a position exactly like Monster did to be able to score some prizing. And with that, Monster is going to be here in the 3rd place spot with 2 packs coming their way. Of course, a total of 16 Illuvials. All right, good luck, Monster. Let's see what we end up getting. That's a pretty damn good Kronk, actually. 77 TPI onto that big fella. We have a Flare as well coming on through. Nice rare find. 53 TPI onto that guy. Exalted Air Valente, 60 TPI onto that. 6-7 Archos coming on through. A Dark Hollow Turtle has been found here. 56 TPI onto that one. And Dark Hollow as well. Of course, for those that may have just been joining us, Hollows are basically the equivalent of our Shinies in Illuvium. There's normal Hollow, which is still pretty rare, but then Dark Hollow is ridiculously rare. So congratulations here, Monster, on the Dark Hollow Archie. TPI-wise, it might be a little bit of a lackluster pack outside of the Krunk, but still, that Dark Hollow, that's rare. A very rare one. Congratulations. Okay, 16, sending on over. Oh, and they were in chat here for that. Perfect. Good to see. All right. Challengers-wise, oh, still shows that it's there, eh? Did I hit send already? Or did I skip it? I can't remember. I might have just clicked them all and then didn't actually hit the button. Yeah, okay, we're good now. All right, our Monarch Masters main event winner, Kirito. Of course, as you go up into the harder divisions, the amount of packs you get for winning them goes up substantially. So with that, we have 10 packs coming on through here for Kirito this time. Of course, it's all just odds, it's all just chance. And the fact that we found a Dark Hollow just in our last pack may not necessarily put the odds of finding another one into our favor. However, we've got 80 Illuvials coming on through, all randomly generated. Let's see what we get here for Kirito for the win. It is going to be a couple of beauties leading the charge. How about an 85 TPI Furiox and an 80 TPI Arcane Terralinx? I'd argue the Lynx is probably rarer, even though the TPI, or not the TPI, but the tier would suggest otherwise. That's kind of crazy. We're going to see a squid, a pretty decent squid actually as well. 63 TPI onto that one. An almost 90. That is an ace at 89 TPI here for Kirito. 82 TPI Heady. This pack is absolutely cracked. My goodness. 75 TPI onto the Railu. 80 TPI Baby Lynx. 75 TPI Greater Eartha Tipo. 85 TPI Archie. 81 TPI Lesser Rapon. 79 TPI Rai. So lots of fantastic Illuvials in these 10 packs. Heck, there's a hollow one there. Hollow Lesser Apon as well. But a pretty solid pack to win a free-to-enter event. Congratulations there, Kirito. Lots of awesome challengers coming your way. Regardless of what you end up doing with it, I just hope one way or another they make an impact on your adventure. This one's going to take a while. My hand is getting sore. Was that my starter? No, it wasn't. This is the starter. Okay. All right, let's send all 80 of these to the wallet. Get them out of Deathmatch, and we'll get them into your hands by tomorrow morning. Started a new team for your wife. That's incredible. Awesome. We'll come back to this for now, because it seems like the visual bug is still happening. But the packs have been opened up here for Kirito. Next up, we've got Hector. The incredible second place finish there. Tried to get the Rogues to run amok, and they almost pulled it off, but just barely coming up short. But a second is still a fantastic finish. Let's see if we can translate that into some awesome Illuvials. The hope is for a Dark Hollow Duolef. That would be incredible if that does end up coming on through. But of course, that is a tier 5, fully evolved Illuvial, while also being Dark Hollow. That would be very tough to pull off. But we do have 8 packs, 64 Illuvials coming your way. Let's see how this ends up going. Good luck, Hector. Well, damn, that is absolutely amazing. Hello, beautiful. Stoic Zephyrlings 89 TPI. We are going to have a Familiar as well. Gnarl, so a couple of fully evolved tier 3s joining us in this one. We do have a Hollow Quinks, actually. Middle stage evolution on a tier 3. Hollowed out. Beautiful, beautiful. We've got a Hollow Fern. That's a tier 4. Going to be coming out in hollow form here as well. And how about a Hollow Winks? It looks like you can have yourself almost a full pair, or a full line of the Fennec Foxes, nice and hollow. T-Ruro, pretty decent as well, 76 TPI onto that one. Exalted Fire Tipo, a little bit hard to find for a tier 0. A level, or a TPI 75 Lynx, but I'm pretty certain you probably have better than that. Even still, though, solid little Lynx. A couple of decent ones as well. Got the Exalted Fire Flish, again, kind of hard to find. A little low TPI on that one, though. How about the Totofi? That's Snail's 82 TPI. Any other standouts potentially coming on through here from our lower tiers? It does not look like it, but damn. You at least got my personal favorite here of the day with that Stoic Zephyrlings. 89 TPI. And of course, now that Lynx's fully evolved Lynxes actually do something and ramp up the more they go, if anything, I can see a world where this Stoic Zephyrlings becomes my mortal enemy because, of course, air Illuvials gain energy resistance every time they use Omegas. As somebody who plays Scions, this Lynx could probably single-handedly shut me down. But hell yeah, we'll get that over to you as soon as we possibly can. Probably again by tomorrow morning. That's my main goal. This will also take a while. All right, at 64, going to the wallet. That was an absolute very nice Furiox, absolutely. All right. Last but not least. Dr. Spoon. Of course, Doc has probably one of the best collections in the game, so trying to find an arena starter upgrade for it is borderline impossible. But could we potentially maybe find one here today? Do we get haunted by a Dark Hollow or something along those lines? Or not haunted, but maybe just blessed. I guess depends on your point of view. But can we potentially get blessed with something absolutely incredible here for Dr. Spoon? Let's take a look in just a second. That is 6 more packs here. 48 Illuvials coming on through. Good luck, Doc. Let's see what we can score ya. We are going to find a couple of Lynxes to lead the charge. 76 TPI, Virtuous Terra Lynx. Then we do have the Stoic Zephyrlings showing up for the second pack in a row here. 55 TPI onto that one. Do have an Axodon coming on through. That's a fully evolved tier 1. A Greater Gorilla of a hollow variant. Very, very nice. 78 Revo. A 90 TPI T-Roo. So that's probably the highest TPI that we've seen today on anything. Might be on a little tree kangaroo, but that's still pretty cool. Is there any other standouts in some of our lower tiers? A couple of tier 0s in the 70s. Got a hollow there onto a 61 TPI Lesser Fire Tipo. And a hollow Valente here as well. But still, again, not too bad considering this was a free to enter event. Now my question, where did the 200 skulls come from? has to be a glitch. That's what I thought. Yeah, okay, there it goes. It shows 200 here, but then in my actual balance, it does show nothing. Okay. I was going to say, huh? How did that happen? I'd be summoning skulls out of nowhere if that was actually a thing. Let's just say there could be some abuse that could be done with that. My goodness. Back here, let's quickly send these off. Nope, that's my starter. $48 challengers on the way to the wallet. There we go. And there we go. Now it's all situated. Quickly gonna refresh this. There we go. That's better. I was just paranoid a little bit, as always. But with that, that is it for all of the pack openings, or the auto drone run openings. Again, all of these Illuvials will be being sent on Monday morning. I'll try to have it done before stream tomorrow. Of course, my stream tomorrow is going to be a arena tryhard team, or tryhard stream, where I'm trying to get myself up into the top 20. That's the big goal that I'd love to hit before the end of next week. But, of course, the ranked reset is coming, so I do have to move quickly. Because, yeah, if I don't get it done by next week, well, then I'm out of luck. It resets, of course, on the last Thursday of every month. So, this has definitely been the highest I've placed over the last little bit, and I'm not going to lie, it's probably because I'm playing the most Illuvium Arena that I've played since the Illuvium Pro League. I'm not going to lie. The revigorated attention that Arena is getting, the fact that it's actually getting some care, it's getting some updates, and just making it that much more enjoyable allowed me to actually have more fun and want to play more often. It also helps too that I'm trying to level some other things and not just play invokers all the time. So we're going to have ourselves a stream on Thursday for that. Then, of course, Friday, we do have Illuvium Arena House League. That, of course, like I was mentioning before, and then we were just talking about the prizes here for said event, but you can get Illuvials just by playing the game, by signing up for our free event here in House League. Make the top 3, you get Illuvial packs if you're in the Lynx League or the Monarch Masters. Caribou Cup, you literally just get at least one Illuvial by showing up and giving me your best. That is literally it. So by all means, come on down. Registration form for that event is in the description of this video, and I'm going to post it out on Discord after this stream as well. Get signed up while you can, because if you're having fun with Arena, it's just a fun time all around. I, of course, commentate the matches as if it's a pro esports tournament. We have a lot of fun, and I'd love to have you on board. Then Saturday, it does not show up on the schedule, but it is actually in progress. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. The RattyData Ladder Grind Finale. They've been playing essentially all month long to try and squeak into this final top 8 final match. Best of 3 action going to be happening Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. UTC. We're going to cast that here on my channel as well. The entire best of 3. It'll be a fun time as everybody's trying to chase some Illuvials, some Illuvitars, and potentially some other prizes here as well. So shout out to Bondaddy Ratty for hosting that event, and to everybody for competing into their events here as well. I don't want to be the only one running things around here, and I'm so happy to see Bondaddy Ratty running a competitive event here as well. And to anybody else, of course, that wants to be running events, just go for it. And with both of these events happening, of course, a massive thank you to Illuvium once again, as they are helping supply prizes for not just the RattyData tournament, but also with the Illuvium Arena House League. Again, giving me the skulls to be able to open these packs so I don't have to do it out of my own pocket. Massive thank you to Illuvium for supporting community events, It's huge. And then remember when we talked in the Arena Dev chat, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, Perry had mentioned that there is going to be another somewhat like a semi-casual kind of event or tournament potentially coming that's Illuvium hosted. So there are still more events coming, potentially more tournaments coming, even outside of RattyData and the house and my house league. So there is still absolutely reason to play, reasons to level up, and it makes it a very, very exciting time. Even still, even when we're in between and we're kind of waiting for Obelisk Rising, and we're waiting for Illuvium 0 to have a purpose, and we're waiting for the next Illuvium Beyond set to come out, which in theory shouldn't be too much longer. And then, of course, the survival game. I know, at least personally, I'm kind of a little bit torn. Because it's Illuvium, I do want to check out the game. How hard I actually go into it, we'll see. But when that survival game does end up coming out, I definitely want to give my fair shot at it as well. So, looking forward to all of that, of course. And thanks for doing this all again. My pleasure. I'm having a fun time still. All of yous are awesome. It's absolutely worth it to fire off these events or week after week after week, rather. And then it's even worth it to me just being able to do these streams day in, day out here, hanging out with you guys 5 days a week now. Even though there isn't necessarily something brand new to go for, it's still a lot of fun. And as long as I'm having fun doing this, you'll still see me. Trying our damnedest to grow the channel just strictly off of Illuvium. So if you do happen to be new here, please do make sure you subscribe to the channel. Because like I was saying, we're live 5 days a week. And every once in a while, when a certain video or certain idea comes to mind, I also have a bunch of non-stream content here as well surrounding Illuvium and its universe of games. And of course, make sure you drop a like on the stream on your way out. I will be closing out. I know it's a little bit early. Personally, a little bit under the weather, so I want to try and rest up a little bit because we have a couple of exciting days ahead of us here. We've got Rank tomorrow, and then 2 somewhat competitive days in a row here, with House League being our casual competitive, and then the RattyData event being really competitive. I'm looking forward to this upcoming couple of days, but I will be calling it a day here for today. So once again, massive thank you to everybody for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for some ranked, and potentially for the rest of the week as well. Still lots to do, and lots of fun to be had. Have a great rest of the day, everybody.
Woke up tired, didn't sleep all night. Mind's still running like a traffic light. Red for stop and green for go. I'm stuck somewhere in between them both. Brushed my teeth and checked my phone. Everyone looks like they've already grown. Smiling faces, perfect lives. I'm here asking, what am I doing with mine? I don't have a plan, I just have today. Trying not to throw the little good away. Heart's still heavy, but I'm still here. Taking one small step through the fear. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. I'm scared, but I'm still showing up. One small step is enough today. I'm not fine, but I'm on my way. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. I'm scared, but I'm still showing up. One small step is enough today.